Hey everyone, and welcome to the A2 Life podcast here at Ridgecrest, where our desire is to talk about discipleship and encourage us all to continue to fulfill the Great Commission by living out the lifestyle that is seen in Acts chapter 2. And so as we begin today, James, how you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm good as well. We began a conversation last week, James, in the world that we're living in right now with the COVID-19 virus about how to continue to foster community, how to continue to have this group feel, even though we're not meeting together on our campuses and doing our groups like normal. And so last week we talked about just the importance of that maybe even more right now, we need to feel community compared to where we have in the past. And so if you're listening today, you might be a group leader in some sort of way. You might just be somebody in a group that wants to help your group leader get this going or encourage it. And you might be groups that are already doing things. And if you are, we encourage you to continue to do that. And so we just want to continue to talk about that. Last week we talked about our last podcast. We talked about picking your platform. We talked about Zoom, FaceTime, Google Hangouts, GroupMe, Remind, text messaging, calling, all those kind of things. But today we want to talk about communicating the plan. And so James, help us understand about the importance of communicating that plan and how we should do that.
Yeah, everybody has different, I guess, in a sense, I don't want to say jobs, but everybody's life roles and everybody's life season is different than others, you know. And some people can't meet on certain days and things of that nature. So it's important to communicate your plan, communicate, hey, this is what we're thinking, this is what we're doing, this is what we're choosing. And I think one of the biggest things, too, is to actually ask your group, hey, what do y'all use the most?
Right.
Are you guys able to use Zoom? Are you guys able to use, Google Hangouts or whatever it may be? But communicate that plan. Just tell them, look, this is what I'm trying to do, and this is, because we need to connect and continue to engage in community. And so I'll just be upfront and just say, hey, look, when can we meet?
Yesterday I was trying to kind of make some decisions for our student ministry, and I just sent a quick text to some leaders and some different kids and just ask them, hey, how do you think this would work? And what day would be best, and kind of like the time and all that kind of stuff, just to kind of survey, the different people to try to figure that out. And so in the beginning process of communication, it's getting a feel for your group, and then you kind of get to that point where you make that decision based off of the information, again, of your audience. We talked about that, knowing your audience, and that kind of thing.
You have groups that are larger, obviously. Here in our context, you have some groups that are larger than others. It'll be easier to connect with 8, 10, 12 people. But when you have 60, 70 people in your class, then it becomes, big. Then, okay, how are we going to break this up? This is where I think one of the biggest things could be done is having different leaders inside of the group pour into the class as well. Right. And so, you may have a Zoom group of 20. They may have a Zoom group of 20, and you're all connecting and staying in touch with your group. And so you just have to communicate that plan, how y'all going to work that plan.
Yeah. That's really good. And, just being okay with, yes, you're not your entire group, but know that that's a way that's just best to interact with one another in our current situation. And we believe and pray that this is not the long-term thing we're experiencing, but it is the here and now. And so to keep the people that we have connected, it's very important to foster that plan. And so, all right, James, we come up with a plan. All right, we communicate, we figure that what's the best way to do it, the timing and all that kind of stuff. Now let's talk about specifics of just making sure everybody's on the same page with that.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, because if you have something that's like, look, I ain't gonna use this, I ain't gonna do this, then you may have a little bit, but you for the most part, you're guiding your class. You're helping your class along the way. Just hey, look, we're in this together, and we need your help. And so I think it's very important to make sure everybody's is pretty much relatively on board and being able to do this. I think about Jethro and Moses. Moses was trying to do everything, and Jethro was like, dude, you're gonna kill yourself.
Right.
And so let some of your leaders, and I think this is where you get people involved inside of your own groups, and to be able to help everybody be on that same page. In a sense.
So deciding, let's just kind of take it like this. Let's say we're going to meet on Tuesday nights. And I think, first off, being okay with it doesn't necessarily have to be a Sunday meeting
Absolutely.
or a Wednesday
Absolutely.
meeting. Your plan can be different even every week.
Yeah.
Now, consistency will probably help your
Right.
leader and your groups. But just coming up with that plan and saying, we're going to meet at Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, after dinner, before bedtime. And if you have kids and you have like family life, I think engage them with it.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
it's okay. Like the other day I was doing a video meeting with a group of folks and Lila Kate's like running around the house, I mean, it's okay. Like it's life and things are different right now. We don't have a nursery to take them to, we can't do that. So one of the most beneficial things is maybe just letting your kids engage with it as well. Let them
Absolutely.
hear people talking about it. And you might not necessarily be teaching a lesson. It might just be talking about checking on each other
Yeah.
and praying for each
Yeah.
other. I know we can talk more about that in a little bit. But again, okay, Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
Now making sure everybody in your group knows that. So whether that's sending a text message to them and saying, hey, we're meeting every Tuesday now at 7 o'clock. Here's the link to how you get there. You might need to call some folks and say, hey, if they don't read their text messages, sometimes like my wife, like call them and say, hey,
Yeah.
hey, we're meeting here. Know your people
Yeah.
and communicate it. And I always say this, you can never communicate enough.
That's right. That's right.
So every avenue, a text message, a phone call, post it on your Facebook, on social media. If you have a group, a lot of connection groups have groups, like post that in your group and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Communicate that. And then I love what our resource says, allow for grace period as people get used to meetings.
That's right. That's right.
And even as much as we communicate, like people still are going to forget or things aren't going to work or technology is going to fail us. So be a little graceful, obviously, in that as you communicate the plan. And so a well-communicated plan leads to a well-executed plan.
That's right.
And
I
so
like that.
communication leads to execution. So I encourage you guys that are listening, whether you're a leader or you might be just a participant.
Yeah.
You might just, your leader in your connection group or one of your groups might just need you to be the person that steps up and says, hey, I'm going to help you make this happen.
That's right. That's
and I
right.
know we have a lot of groups already doing some of these things, but we want to encourage you to keep doing those things. But if you're not, again, pick your platform, communicate your plan, and then in just a few minutes we'll talk, or in our next podcast, we'll talk more about what's next.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts, James?
Yeah, one of the things, as you're communicating your plan and so forth, and you continuing on with it, I forgot to mention another resource that is very big, and that is Facebook. Yeah. And so, just if you want to use Facebook, you are obviously can use that. I seen someone, one of our teachers, they used Facebook last week, and did something, and I thought that was very awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for that, James, and thank you guys for paying attention to this and checking this out. And if you have any questions about this or we can help you with a plan, don't hesitate to let us know. Our heart, we're here continuing to encourage and push our groups to experience the Lord and walk together. And so we encourage you to let us know if we can help you communicate these plans, even by giving you different information for your group. I know we can do things like that and help you do that. And so again, thanks for checking out today's A2 Life podcast. We'll be back on our next podcast talking through a couple other just kind of key points to be successful in a social distancing world, creating community. And so again, thanks for checking this out today.